Hello, everyone. I am well, thank you. It's sunny out today. Still not warmish, but it's sunny. Hello, Nick. Hi, Brian. We'll just wait till the hour before we get started. So about one more minute or a little less than a minute, and then we'll get started with the presentation. How's the weather where you are all at? Nice. Nice to hear. How's the weather in Petawawa, Ben? Ooh, sounds nice in Victoria. Sunny, but cool. Yeah, it's cool here too. I think the high is supposed to only be 11. All right. So it is on the hour. It's noon here in Winnipeg. So we will get started. Thank you very much for joining us today. This is 6 degrees in Petawawa. Nice to hear. This is the third presentation in the resiliency group. This will be the fourth one that I've actually done on resiliency. My very first one was on self-talk, which was done the week before I started this series. So thank you very much for joining me. My name is Diane Brine. I am the manager of health promotion here in 17 Wing, Winnipeg, and I am very happy to be here with you for the next 45 minutes to an hour-ish. We will be again only using the chat box to communicate, aside from any polls that I'll be putting up. But please feel free to ask any questions or put any comments in the chat box. We will not be using the video or microphone option, and I will be turning off my video once we get started, because you do not need to look at my face for the next 45 minutes. I don't need to look at my face for the next 45 minutes. That would be a better way of saying it. So before we get started, just wanted to remind everybody that the presentation you're about to view is the intellectual property of the Department of National Defense. So any reproduction or transmission of these slides is strictly forbidden. As well, some of the topics in this webinar are could be of a sensitive nature for some people. So I realize that many of you are working from home and you may have children around you. So please just understand that that they may not be appropriate for all ages of children. We ask for your parental discretion. And then as well, understand that the people's stories are theirs alone to share. So respecting that confidentiality. So put the Vegas rule in place. So what happens here in this webinar stays in this webinar. And then lastly, this webinar is being recorded and it will be available for viewing. My understanding is they are creating a PSP national YouTube channel that will be rolling out in the next couple of weeks, and that's where we'll be able to find all these. So although I encourage active participation, you are more than welcome just to simply follow along without using the chat or the video microphone. Well, we're not going to be using the video microphone, so it doesn't really matter. But without using the chat option, you can just pay attention and listen along. All right, so let's get started with a whole. In a second, as soon as I find it. There we go. All right, so just looking to see what your affiliation is in the Canadian Armed Forces, whether you're a serving member, whether you're a veteran, a family member, a civilian employee, or other. Perfect. Very good. All right, so mostly serving members. That's great to see. All right, so now I'm going to disappear and we will carry on with the presentation. So barriers to resilience. What have been some challenges in the last week for you in dealing with your resilience? What have been some challenges that you've been having? We're now in week 5 of being at home. Some of you may have had the opportunity to go back to work, or may have been in provinces where they've started to open up facilities. So what's some of the challenges that you may have been having in the last week? Scheduling. Oh, okay. Yeah. Absolutely. All right. So here's what we're going to look at today, and maybe some of this will help you. We're going to look at the importance of self-care with resilience. It's been a rough week, hey, Rob? Sorry to hear that. So maybe some of the things that we'll be discussing today will be able to help you through that. Yeah, it hasn't been an easy week for anybody in the Canadian Armed Forces. So with the loss of the helicopter. So we just need to respect where we are with our feelings, accept that these are the feelings that we're having, and to be able to deal with them appropriately. So what we're going to look at today is sort of our self-care and its impact on resilience, as well as we're going to look at our social connections. And then we'll end the session with another mental fitness tool. So we'll look a little bit at breathing. So I really like this quote. It doesn't matter what we have to work with, what tools we have to work with, or what is around us. If I'm not mentally prepared or functioning well, then the tools aren't going to work as well as they could. So what we're going to look at now is how we can improve some of those things that can improve how I'm going to be when I'm sitting on my doghouse. So what does self-care include? What are those things that we have control over when we're looking at self-care? Hygiene, for sure. Downtime, our reaction. Yeah, absolutely. So where does that fit in the personal power grid? Where would we find self-care? Is this something that we have control over, or is this something that we mastery? Absolutely, Rob. It's all about that mastery. Right? This is something that we can control, and by taking control, we can build our resilience, mastery, and acceptance as well. Absolutely. Both of those things, that's where self-care fits. So why is it important? Okay, we go back to this This illustration that we've all seen every time we sit in an aircraft. And this really explains the importance of self-care. So when we're on an aircraft, the flight attendant usually gets up the front and starts off her spiel talking about if by any chance the cabin should depressurize, oxygen mask will drop from the ceiling. And then they tell you something very specific. You put the mask on yourself first. We need to take care of ourselves first so that we're better able to take care of other people. So the same goes with self-care. We need to be looking after ourselves before we look at other people. If we were in the yellow or the orange or even the red, how could we tell if people need help or are struggling? It's possible, but it's difficult. More difficult than if we're in the green. If we're in the green and we're feeling good, it's a lot easier for us to recognize the people around us who may be struggling and to be able to offer them help. So we really want to try and stay in that green, healthy zone by looking after ourselves. So when we talk about staying in the green, things like exercise, nutrition, sleep, rest, self-care, social support, or those social connections we have, time management, our mindset, and our self-talk, all are components that can help us to stay in the green. And we're going to look at most of these this afternoon or this morning for those of you in Cold Lake. So the first one is exercise. Biologically, exercise seems to give the body a chance to practice dealing with stress. What happens when we exercise? What happens to our body when we exercise? What are some of the reactions that our body has as we're exercising? Release endorphins. Absolutely. Rise in self-esteem. Sure. But physically, what's happening to your body when you're exercising? So if you were to go out and do a 5K run, what happens to your body as you're running? Increased heart rate. Absolutely. Increased heart rate, increased breathing rate, increase sweating. My muscles are getting tight. I'm getting sore. Right? So what does that sound like? What are those things when you have increased heart rate, increased blood pressure, increased breathing rate, tight muscles? What does that sound like? What other event or thing that happens to us does that sound like? Stress. Absolutely. So next, when we exercise, we put our body into that stress response. What happens 20 minutes after we finish exercising? So 20 minutes or 20 to 30 minutes after I finish my run, how do I feel? Or how do you feel? Great. Absolutely great. You're energized. You're satisfied. Your breathing rate has come down. Absolutely more relaxed. Your breathing rate has come down. Your body temperature has come down. Your blood pressure has come down. Your heart rate has come down. Your muscles are starting to relax again. So what we've done when we exercise is we're teaching our body that, yes, we can put you under stress, and this is what it's going to feel like. But we're also teaching our body that we can elicit that relaxation response, and that after I finish being under stress, my body can relax, which is an amazing thing. So what we're teaching our body is no matter what the stress is, that we can actually have that opportunity to find a relaxation response afterwards. It forces our body's physiological systems, all of which are involved in the stress response, to communicate more closely than usual. So the cardiovascular system communicates with the renal system, which communicates with the muscular system. And all of these are controlled by the central and sympathetic nervous systems, which must also communicate with each other. So this workout of the body's communication system may be the true value of exercise. The more sedentary we get, the less efficient our body is at responding to stress, which is kind of cool. So people who exercise regularly, what they'll find is that it really enhances their ability to cope with future events and relieves the stress of past events. So if you've had a stressful day, if things aren't going well, going out for a run or a brisk walk or a bike ride or doing some type of exercise will really help you to de-stress from those past events, to kind of shake that off. Higher physical fitness is also associated with lower levels of stress. And the method of exercise that most benefits the stress reduction after the event is a cardiovascular exercise. So something that gets your heart rate up, your breathing rate up. So, and it's going to enhance your sense of mastery in that personal power grid by being able to exercise. So what I have for you is I have a handout for you. So this handout is about 52 reasons why you should be active. What I'd like you to do is just look over these and see if one of those reasons sort of sticks to you or makes sense to you. And if you would like, you can add that number into the chat box, which one you like best. $36. Very cool. 52. There's lots of great reasons there about why exercise is really important. 25 for sure. Somebody usually tells 40. Somebody usually tells me, I think it's 37 that's best. That's the one that they like best. So, but yeah, just gives you how wide a scope exercise is at being a benefit for your body. So really take advantage of the opportunity to be able to get out there and do some exercise. It doesn't have to be formalized exercise, just going out there for that walk, taking your bike out and going for a bike ride through the streets. Anything at all is really going to be helpful. And the good thing about that type of exercise is you can still maintain it while social distancing. So also awesome. Okay, 19, that's a good one too, Anik. All right, any questions about exercise? Okay, so now we're going, what's my number? I'm not saying. There's the one that says it helps to maintain your weight. I do like that one, which is why I do lots of exercise, is so that I can eat the food that I want to eat. So it might be, I'll never say. So now we're going to talk about the importance of nutrition and what nutrition has to do with our ability to be resilient. When we're under a lot of pressure, when things are going sideways, or we're butting heads with deadlines. What typically happens to our diet? Forget it entirely. Absolutely. For sure. Yeah, we stress eat. Right? If I have to work overtime or I'm working late on a project or something, I'm probably not going for carrot sticks and celery sticks. I'm going for something that's high fat, high salt, high sugar. That's kind of what my body is craving. And then how does that make me feel? I usually feel terrible afterwards, right? So if we want to eat for performance and eat so that we can maintain our resiliency, what we need to do is really try feeling guilty. Yeah, really try to eat real food, as close to real food as we can. So avoiding those foods that are high in sugar, salt, and fat. And use meal times as an opportunity to slow down and connect with your family, with friends, with your coworkers. Leave your desk to eat and take that break. For many of us, I mean, now we're working at home, but for many of us, when we were working in the office, we would just grab our lunch and go back to our desk and eat straight through lunch and not taking that break. And we need to, and then we don't even remember what we've eaten because we're not actually paying attention. When we're eating for performance, it's an opportunity for us to be mindful of the foods that we're eating, to pay attention to what we're eating, to enjoy some time that we can have with other people. So mood, motivation, and mental performance are greatly influenced by the food we eat. So when we're eating to increase or maintain our level of performance or resilience, the foods that we consume play an important role. So what would be the types of foods that we should look at eating? Fruits and vegetables, fruit for sure, veggies, low fat. Yeah, absolutely. Good protein for sure. Yeah, we want to keep our energy levels up. So we need to have that carbohydrate. We need to have some fat, but good fat. And we also need to have some protein as well in order to maintain our levels of energy. And we also need to ensure that our carbohydrates are of a good quality as well. Our brain uses the glucose from the carbohydrates as its main source of food. It loves carbohydrates. So when we're not eating enough of those, enough good fruits and vegetables, whole grain, then we're really having an impact on our brain and our ability to think through things. So pay attention to what we're eating. And along with that, we also need to pay attention to what we're drinking. So water makes up about 60 to 70% of our body. And if we look at our body from the neck up, about 80% of that is made up of fluid. It provides oxygen to the brain to help you focus and oxygen to the muscles to create energy. So we really have to be paying attention that we're drinking enough fluid throughout the day. It takes a loss of about 1% of body weight before your brain signals the sensation of thirst. By then, your performance has decreased by 15 to 20%. Nice, Ben. I do not make my own bread. Would like to because I love bread. Right? So 15 to 20% reduction in your performance by just a loss of 1% of your body weight. So if we look at a person who's 120 pounds or 54.5 kilograms, 1% will be the equivalent of losing 1.2 pounds or 0.54 kilograms of weight as sweat. And that can usually happen after a vigorous hockey game or a soccer game or a run. So really important to be able to replace those fluids and keep those fluids with us all the time. So dehydration leads to decreased performance. Studies show that those people who do not get enough fluid have difficulty with concentration, are less vigilant, and have poorer working memory. Headaches, fatigue, are common. And if you remember, I just said that 80% of us from the head, from the neck up, is a fluid, a water. What's the biggest thing up there? It's our brain. So if we're not giving ourselves enough fluid, what's our brain looking like right now? How is our brain functioning? And how are we able to be resilient if our brain is drying up? Right? So we need to be able to give our brain the water that it needs. So ensure that you have lots of fluids throughout the day, and that's also going to help you to maintain your resiliency and help you to be more resilient. So sleep. There have been several great webinars on sleep presented by my health promotion colleagues across the nation. And so I'm not going to spend a lot of time here talking about sleep. If you're interested, I would recommend you check out one of them or any of them. They're all wonderful. There's a couple this week as well. So please register for them or check them out. But that said, I do want to underline the fact that sleep is an important component on allowing us to maintain our resiliency. So make sure that you're getting good quality sleep as much as possible. I like this little quote. So the amount of sleep required by the average person is 5 minutes more. So we're probably none of us getting quite the amount of sleep that we need. We could always use a little bit more. So trying to get that sleep is going to help us to be able to deal with whatever else is happening to us throughout the day. It's going to really have that rejuvenation effect on us. All right, let's move on to social connections. So evidence consistently demonstrates that social support, contact, and relationships with others plays an important part in health maintenance. Research shows that positive social connections help keep patients alive longer after heart attacks, help stave off depression and dementia, and may even help lower the incidences and mortality from cancer. Social isolation, on the other hand, can increase stress, bringing on illness and making recovery more difficult. So in this time where we're asked to be physically distancing from people, this social connection takes on a new importance. How do we stay connected when we're required to work at home? We're not in our workplace anymore. We can't just go over and see our family. What are ways that we can stay connected to help with those connections? Virtually, absolutely. There's a lot of virtual connections going on. Not always the greatest, but helpful. So we need to be connecting with other people. So having a support network, a good support network, when we're looking at it, really increases that sense of belonging. 64% of people surveyed said that they had a strong sense of belonging when they were socially connected. 84% claimed that they were happy and had high life satisfaction, so that sense of self-worth and that feeling of security. 72% psychologically said they had a psychological well-being. And the other cool thing that this does is it lowers cortisol. So where I've got these stats that I just reamed off at you, I do have a infographic for you on social connection that delineates all this stuff. So if you have the opportunity, there's a really good TED Talk by Kelly McGonigal called How to Be Better at Stress. She also has a book as well called The Upside of Stress. Both are really, really good. I do use the TED Talk in a lot of my programming. It's a little long, which is why I'm not showing it today. It's about 15 minutes long, so I'm not going to show it today, but if you have the opportunity, I would suggest that you watch it. Her name is Kelly McGonigal. I will type that in the chat box for you. She is Canadian, which is the other reason why I really like her. But what she talks about is the value of social connection on a person. She states that the stress response actually encourages us to seek out others for support or to give support to others. It wants us to be surrounded by people who care about us. So our stress response actually has a built-in mechanism for social support or social connection. In a stress study in the United States, Poulin, Brown, Dillard, and Smith from the University of Buffalo studied 1,000 adults between the ages of 34 and 93. And they wanted to know how much stress these people experienced and how much time a person spent helping out others, whether it was family, friends, volunteering in the community, whatever it was. And then they checked public death records to see who died. They found that there was a 30% increase of death for each major stressor in a person's life. But for people who cared for others, there was absolutely no increase in dying. So caring for others creates resilience. So having that social network and being cared for by others and caring for other people in return will help to build your resilience. I find that really amazing how we're built to grow our resilience and to maintain our resilience, and how our body is telling us that we need that social support. So we're going to do another handout. So this handout is about your social network. Looking at your social network, who is in your social network, what are the people that you have around you to help you through sort of those tough times that can help you to maintain your resilience. So having that social network, super important to help us maintain our resilience. So I'd like you to work through this handout and think about who you have in your network. So when you're working through this handout, when you're thinking about who goes in your friends circle, those would be people whom you can talk to about your difficulties, your reactions, your hopes in a safe way. You won't be judged or put down, and you're accepted just as you are. And that's the names that you would write in that friend circle. In the fun circle, those are people who you can share a few jokes, have a good laugh, watch comedies. Life seems lighter after you've had a good time together. In the resource circle, those would be people who have access to information, who know who does what in the organization, who can tell me what organizational support is available for different situations. In role models, these are people who behave in a way that makes sense to me. It may be someone who knows quite well how far to push themselves and when to stop, someone who has a good balance between work and personal life, someone who relates well to others while maintaining his or her individual space. So who are your role models in your life? Who are those people that you want to emulate? Then there's the overload. And these would be people that you could count on if you were overwhelmed with too much on your plate, whether it's at work or in your personal life. And the appreciator is someone who sees what you do well and who takes the time to tell us that we're doing okay or that we're doing something well. We need that feedback to help us improve our sense of well-being. And then finally, challenge. Those are people who push us to go further, to stretch, to take that risk, to get out of that rut. So looking at this, were you able to put names in each of those circles, in each of those 7 circles? Could you put somebody's name into each of those circles? Mostly. Sure. Were there areas where you had good support with time? Yeah, sometimes I have to think about who's up. Almost, yeah. The areas where you have like a lot of support and maybe areas that you don't have a lot of support. Are there any patterns in your social support? So are they all men? Are they all women? Are they all young? Are they all old? Or are they all family? When you look at that, is it a mixture of people or is it all kind of the same type of people? Maybe wishing one person was it another. Cool. Did you end up putting the same name in most of the circles? If you did, what might be a consequence of that? What might be a difficulty of having the same name in most of the circles? I think so, yeah. Yeah, what happens if that person's not available? Or if you have a falling out, who do you have left? For sure. For sure. I mean, that could be an issue if you have mostly family in there too. If you have a disagreement with your family, then you could have lost much of your support network. Right? One last question. Would your name appear in somebody else's system or network? I think you'd be surprised at how many other people probably have you in their support network as well. Yeah, for sure. So if you have gaps in your support network, if some of those circles were empty or didn't have a lot of people in it, then my challenge to you is to go out and think about who could you add to your support network? How could you fill those circles with people? Because by filling them, you are definitely going to build that resilience for you and have those people to be able to help you through these tough times that we're going through. Yeah, absolutely. If you've got more people in your support network, there's more people to call upon. For sure. And you get that sort of different opinion and or different outlook on the situation. For sure. So take this little exercise and work on it over the next little while and see if you can fill in some of those circles with more names. See what you've got there. All right. So I did say we were going to introduce a mental fitness tool today, and today we're going to talk about deep breathing. And I know I haven't really talked about the importance of our breath during this series, but it is super important. Yeah, Lisa, I guess it would be that an introvert might not need as many people in their circles. True. But they would probably have a highly developed other areas of coping to be able to deal with stressors and to maintain their resilience. So, as I said, I haven't talked about the importance of our breath during this series, but that's not to say that our breath is not important. Taking a deep breath allows us to regain control of our bodies and thus our mind as well. It allows clear thinking. Right? When we look at deep breathing, it can be used as a grounding exercise. It's a gateway to mindfulness, a way to calm your body, help with the onset onset of sleep and allow your brain to re-engage, and it will elicit that relaxation response as well. So being able to have that deep breath, to be able to breathe deeply into your abdomen is one of those skills that's really important. When we watch newborn babies breathe, newborns are world-class belly breathers. It's how we're built. We were all born belly breathers to breathe from our abdomen, but in our culture, we tend to put a high value on having a flat, tight stomach, and we teach this to children, especially I think little girls, but I think little boys as well. Many people will change their style of breathing, typically in adolescence, in response to messages that they get at home, in school, on the playground, in the media. And they hold their stomach tight and breathe from their chest. And then 10 or 20 years later, they don't even remember that they ever breathed any other way but by chest breathing. So by practicing deep abdominal breathing, we can relearn how to breathe properly again and help us to get more oxygen in our body, to improve our sleep, to help us counteract anxiety, relax that nervous system. And the other cool thing that deep breathing does is it aids in digestion and liver function, because when we go into that acute stress response, those systems shut down. So I always thought that was interesting. So we're going to do a deep breathing exercise. I'm going to read it to you. So this is a breathing and word focus exercise. What I want you to do is you can close your eyes, make yourself as comfortable as possible. With your eyes closed, turn your attention to your breathing. When we are tense, our body moves to slow and upper chest breathing. Relaxed breathing is deep and slow. Bring your attention to the way you breathe. When we are breathing in a relaxed way, our stomach rises with each in-breath and falls slightly with each out-breath. Focus for another moment on your breathing. Now notice the cool air entering your nostrils. See if you can follow the breath down into your lungs. Notice the warm air as it leaves your body as you exhale. Become aware of how the muscles of your body are affected by your breath. Notice the muscles across your back moving with each breath. Notice the muscles along your arms and through your stomach. Try to become aware of all the muscle groups affected by your breathing. Now imagine that you're breathing in peace with each breath. Imagine that you're breathing out tension and anxiety. Breathe in peace. Breathe out tension and anxiety. If thoughts intrude in your mind, just notice them briefly. Acknowledge your awareness, and then let the thoughts go. Try to keep your mind focused on your breathing. If you have difficulty focusing just on your breathing, you can use counting to help you become more centered and more quiet. As you breathe in, count from 1 up to 4 in rhythm with your inhale. And as you breathe out, count down from 4 to 1. Counting 1, 2, 3, 4 in rhythm with your inhale, and 4, 3, 2, 1 as you exhale. Another way to keep your mind focused is by using a word or phrase and repeating that word or phrase in rhythm with your breathing. You can choose a word that gives you a feeling of relaxation. Some people choose a word such as peace or calm, or maybe even ocean, which brings the image of the ocean. It can be used by breathing in the sound of O and exhaling the sound of shun, imitating the rhythm of a wave. Some people use a phrase such as, I am calm and quiet, or I am focused and energized. Others like to use the name of a place they find relaxing, or words of a prayer if they are religious. Choose whatever feels right for you. Now that you have your word or phrase or name, simply use it as a focus, repeating it in rhythm with your breathing. Take your time. If you lose your focus, just bring your mind back to your focus word or phrase or name. You can use your your breath focused and word focused technique at any time during the day. This can help you focus and relax. This is also a good technique to try if you're having trouble falling asleep or need to feel calm during a stressful or challenging situation. Take a few moments to try this technique using your breath and counting to bring your relaxation deeper. Now I'm going to count from 1 to 5. When I reach 1, you will bring your attention back. 5. You feel how relaxed you become. 4. You begin to bring your awareness to your body and how it feels to be sitting in your chair. 3. You become aware of the sounds around you. 2. You are feeling the energy and relaxation flowing in your body, knowing that you will carry this peacefulness with you. 1. You open your eyes gently, gradually becoming more aware and alert. All right. Have a good stretch. How was that? Thanks, Brian. Thanks, Jonathan. Okay. So just before we move on, when we're building resilience, it's very similar to building that physical fitness. It requires time and effort. Some ways to build resilience, as we said today, is like taking care of yourself through sleep, eating habits, managing the stress, staying away from substances or activities that numb your feelings. Staying connected to a social network is always a great way to build resilience. Taking time to incorporate one of the mental fitness exercises or tools that we've given you throughout this series is also a great way to build resilience. And finally, being proactive and asking for help avoids the pitfalls of dealing with problems that spiral out of control. So again, just like when we go to physio or we go to the doctor, when we have physical injuries, we may need to seek resources for mental health, including addictions. So here is a list of resources that we give. I was judging what I could. Right. So these are some resources that you can use. The SIF map, Canadian Forces Members Assistance Program, 24/7, 365 days of the year referral service. Call that number, and typically within about 48 hours, maybe longer now because of COVID-19, but they'll refer you to somebody in your community that will be able to help you with whatever issue or problem that you're having. Canada Suicide Hotline is there. Information on COVID-19, please go to the accurate sources. So Government of Canada website. Family Information Line is another 24/7, 365 days of the year bilingual service. Has information, has actual counselors on the line so they can help you discuss anything dealing with your lifestyle. So you, your family members, extended family members can use that line. The Sexual Misconduct Response Center is also there for your help. Kids Health Phone is there, and Kids Health Phone has just implemented a parent helpline as well. So you can contact them and text wellness to them, and they'll be able to help you with parenting issues that you might be having. The ARC line is a military line in support of COVID-19. So please look at any of those. So those are all great resources that are out there for you to help you along. So what I'd like to do, I've got 2 more handouts for you. So the first handout that I'm giving you is a resiliency from A to Z. So different things that you can do that are going to help to build your resiliency, to help you feel supported by others, or when you need something quick, just look at that list and pull one of those out. Lots of these things are things that we've talked about before, so that over the last 3 sessions, so they should be able to help you with anything that you're looking at. All right, so what mode of self-care will you commit to practicing for the next 6 weeks? Are there some self-care modes that you would be willing to try? So you're going to seek support, help to build that social network, talk to others, practice some of those relaxation exercises, or use your mental fitness tools. Look at how you're eating and improve your eating, or continue to eat well. Include physical activity into your day. Create that sleep hygiene regime that you need. Limit your alcohol, other drugs, gambling, and gaming activity, or sign up for another virtual health promotion course. So to help you to do this, what I've created is a self-reflection for you. So this reflection allows you to think about, what am I doing well that I'm going to continue doing? What are some things that I'm doing that are really helping to promote my resilience? What are some things that I need to start doing because I haven't been doing them? Maybe it is to develop my social network. Maybe it is to be more active. Maybe it is to look at my self-talk. How do I improve my self-talk? And is there something that I need to stop doing because it's not being proactive, or it's not helping me with my resilience? So looking at that, what's something you want to start, something you're going to continue, and something that you're going to stop doing, and think about that for the next 6 weeks. What might that look like for you? All right, so 2 more quick polls for you. So looking at the information that we, put up the wrong poll, but that's fine. So how satisfied are you with this Demio platform? How's this been working for you? For those of you who have been on these webinars before, is this a successful way of reaching out to you and providing you with that information that you need? We'd like to know how you feel about this platform that we're using to reach out to you. All right, and then the final one that I would like to get your opinion on is, can you apply what you've learned today in your daily living? Is this helping you to, are the things that we're discussing helping you in order to maintain or increase your resiliency? Super. Thanks so much for answering those. And I guess so now, are there, and do you have any questions, any comments or concerns about anything that we've talked about today or over the last 3 sessions? Thank you, Jessica. If you're interested, next week I'm doing something on time management and dealing with distractions. Should be fun. No problem, Brian. Thank you for joining. Thanks, Rob. Hope things get better. No problem, Ben. It's been a pleasure. No problem, Nick and Joanne. You're welcome. Thanks, Paul. Thanks, Jordan. Hope you guys all have a great week. Get outside and enjoy the spring weather, and perhaps I will see you again or chat with you again next Tuesday. Bye.